Peace, love, and light. And I am here in this time of Gemini, which is my favorite time of this year so far, because I've learned so much about myself in such a short amount of time. As far as like my communication, like in this time of Gemini, I have written a lot. I have started my own podcast, which I posted my first podcast last week, and I've been writing poetry. I've been just communicating in many different ways, and just like understanding that my communication skills are improving, and I'm finding more ways and more outlets to use my communication, and which I really love. But even beyond that, like this time of Gemini is like a time of the year where we weigh our hearts, like our hearts are weighed. Like this is a time of Mayat where you're balancing out things that are unbalanced. But beyond that, I wanted to say that Mayat is an internal experience. It's not just an external experience. Like one of the things that I didn't know when I initially did the Mayat videos that are on my page was that it was an internal experience. Like I understood that they were concepts, but I didn't understand that it was an internal experience. And one of the things that really stuck out to me was the law that said, because it's 42 laws. One of the laws that says, I have not polluted the waters. And for the longest time, I even said it in the video, that I didn't necessarily know what that meant. But what it means, or what I've learned, was that the waters mean the waters in your body. Like you have to purify the waters in your body, and you'll understand why once you do, because the water in your body is supposed to taste like water. It's not supposed to taste like spit or anything like that, because that's what I've experienced in my life. Like the waters of my body tasting like spit, and it's slimy and sticky, and it doesn't actually taste like water, but it tastes like saliva, and it wasn't something that was something. It wasn't something that tastes like water. It just tastes like saliva. But yeah, that's something that I learned like during this time, and I just got a greater understanding of Mayat from that. And I was gonna initially like read the laws of Mayat again, which I may end up doing, but I haven't done it yet. But it's just something that I understood from just like thinking about that again. I don't even know what initially made me think about it, other than me drinking water enough to taste the actual taste of water without actually drinking it, like by purifying the waters within my body. And in purifying the waters in my body, I understood what the law actually meant. But that also helped me to understand that it was an internal experience, rather than it being just something that is separate from me, something that is just something that I'm reading on, a screen or paper or anything. Even if we were in the time of Kemet, which time is whatever it is, but even if we were in the time of Kemet and we were just reading it on the walls, which I don't necessarily know if the laws of Mayat were on the walls, but if we were having the laws read to us, or we were we were required to read the laws in front of Isis or Thoth or Anubis or even Osiris, I believe Osiris became the ruler of the underworld or something of that sort. I haven't looked at that in years, but yeah. But even if we were required to read them in that particular time, I forget what my train of thought was, but I was gonna say that they weren't internalized to me until I started to take it in that way. But yeah, I really did lose my train of thought. But yeah, this has been a very interesting time. Like, I've been doing a lot of work as far as like things that I want to do in the future, and different ways to make my future much brighter than my present. But by focusing in the present to make my future more brighter than it is in the present. And my present isn't bad. It's just I just want more things for myself, like to experience more things. And in experiencing more things, I have to put in work now to do so. Especially like being an entrepreneur, you have to put in a lot of work to make your business profitable, to make it work, to make it run, to make the lights stay on when you're in the video. But yeah, it's been a very, very interesting time in Gemini. Just a lot of life lessons in Gemini. Even like with my cats, like I've learned that that's a different way of communicating, because I don't get to have like full-on conversations with them. Like I can ask them to do things. I can, notice when they're going through something, listen to the different sounds that they make, and determine like what's going on with them. Or when they do make a different sound, I can acknowledge it, I can study it, I can do all these things, but it's a different way of communicating, and I'm very thankful for it because it's taught me so much about just like non-verbal communication, and just like listening to the difference of sounds in their it's not necessarily non-verbal, but it's unintelligible communication, in the sense that it's not English, it's not plain English where I can just like readily understand it. And even if it was plain English, like I would still have to like assess different things, such as like their body movements, their nonverbal communication, and things like that. But it's a different type of communication because they're different species. And in studying my cats and in living with them, I understand just how to communicate differently and better with people, which is something that I really came to the realization of during this time. And I've had them for about a year, so I've learned a lot about them, and I will continue to learn a lot about them, but I've learned a lot about them within this year. And I had never before had any pets or anything like that. Well, I don't necessarily know if I should call them pets. I would call them companions, and I would call them cats, but I don't necessarily want to call them pets. I was thinking about that earlier. I was thinking about recording, but I didn't know if I should call them pets or anything like that, because it's such a weird thing to pet them and then call them pets. It's just, I don't know. It's just something I was thinking about. But to go off on a tangent, but I've learned a lot about them, and I will continue learning a lot about them. And as I was saying, it helped me to really just like understand them in a different way, and to understand how to take care of something that I can't, communicate clearly with. Like I literally have to train them to, or not necessarily train them, I guess I would be training them. Train them to not do things, and I have to repeat it over and over again, which is not a problem because with repetition comes understanding, especially like to something that's like completely mental, because they do have minds and they do think. Like if you tell them not to do something, they will think of a way to do it in a different way. Like they think very quickly, much like humans. But it's still different because they're still cats. They're still a different species, but they think just like humans. They actually have the ability, the capacity to think of things, and that's something that I really came to the realization of. Like just like observing them, and it's something that that I was kind of in awe of. I keep seeing the number 155. It's like 1:55 a.m. But I keep seeing it in different ways, and it kind of just took my attention away for a minute. 11:11. But it kind of took me by surprise that they think as quickly as they do. But I'm real happy that I noticed it like early on, because for one, I love learning new things, but in seeing that they think the way that they do, it allowed me to understand that they're not just cats, they're not just animals, even though they are animals. But I mean, they're not something that just exists for my amusement. They're not something that doesn't have the capacity to feel, to comprehend, and they do have a strong abilities to do so. They have a strong ability to feel and comprehend because they have many emotions, and their emotions come out when they make certain sounds. Even though like when they make a certain sound and I look in their direction, they look at me and it's like they don't, of course they don't necessarily know why I'm looking at them, and they may not know why they make the particular sound that they make. They just know that they make a sound and I respond to it. And that may just be what it is. But they make all kinds of sounds, and sometimes it takes me by surprise that they're making that particular sound. And I have to figure out what that sound means. But they make those sounds, and it's such a wide range of sounds that it's just interesting. And they make so many different faces, and I just understand them in different ways than I imagined that I would, like initially getting them. Like I didn't know what to expect when I initially got them, but after getting them and learning all the things that I've learned from being around them and living with them is just amazing. And I'm very glad that I've had this opportunity to have something to look after, something to care for, something to communicate with on a regular basis, something to live with. And it's two of them, but something to live with that I've never actually lived with, as far as like having my own or being on my own and having, because that's more so what it is. Being on my own, living on my own, and having the choice to live with other companions that I have to care for. And don't get it twisted, because they definitely help me out emotionally a lot as well. Like, even though I don't necessarily feel sad a lot or anything like that, but to share love between them, and it's like a platonic, way beyond platonic. I don't even know, like, if there's a level above platonic, then that's the level that I see them on, and that's the level that I view them on, and that's what I feel when I'm around them, like that beyond platonic love that we share that exists, and it just feels so natural to have. It's not about anything that, like a human connection would be. Like, it's not based on like survival or anything like that. Well, I don't know. Would it technically be based on survival? Because they technically do depend on me for like food and stuff like that. But I don't think they necessarily know that. Well, they would have to know that because I literally feed them. So they would have to know that. But it's not based on, anything other than like, them living with me and me being around them, because it will be technically a one-sided thing, because I'm the only one that actually knows that, it is my choice to have them, if that makes sense. I really had a little trouble explaining that, but I never really thought about it. But I respect the animals of the earth, which is another thing that I believe is one of the laws of my God as well. But that's what I've been really doing. And another thing too, something I've thought about a lot has been the third eye, which is connected to, Egypt and Egyptology and all these kind of things. But in opening up the third eye, I realized that it's a riddle, because the third eye is like, it's not necessarily closed so much as it is covered. And since it is covered, you have to uncover it, and you do so by looking at the world different. You look at the way you're living in the world, so you start to assess the world around you. But even in that, you are at a level, like, so it's like a level of being awake or opening up the third eye. Like, it's not even like this much open when you're looking at the world, because you don't necessarily know what you're looking at when you initially are looking at the world. So that's how open your third eye is. But as you start to look at the world and you start to see what it is, and you gain more clarity on it, then your eye opens up a little bit more. And then you start looking at the people around you, and then you don't necessarily know what you're looking at again, but it opens up a little bit more. And once you start to really see what people are around you, and you see them not as something that's separate from you, and you start to see that they're connected to you, then you start to look at them differently, and your eye opens up a little bit more. But then you start to look at yourself, and you don't necessarily know what it is you are. You start to look at yourself, as a regular person, and to see how you connect with, the world, and then like different concepts, and then your eye starts to open up a little bit more. But you don't necessarily see things clearly until you realize that a lot of this is going on with inside of yourself. Once you understand a lot of this is going on with inside of yourself, you start to uncover more. And once you uncover more of things that are kind of like blocking your vision, and you start to see that your vision has been blocked by these things, and you see separation, and you see that the separation actually exists within inside of yourself, then your eye starts to really be open, and you don't see like separation between like even your two eyes. Because in between your two eyes, the separation, you see to this side, you see to that side. You can't see this side as great as you can with this eye as you can with this eye. Because it has to be on camera. With this eye. So you have to make sure that you're looking at it properly. And even if you have to turn your head to look in this direction to see what it is fully that you're looking at, then you are able to see it clearly, because you're looking at it directly. You're not looking at it with one eye or the other. You're looking at it with both eyes, and you can see what the full picture is. And that's what it is when you unite your vision, and your vision becomes one because you start to see things as connected rather than either or separate. And that's just something that I really just understood within this period, because I've been uncovering a lot and opening up my third eye a little bit more than it's been within the past few months. And it took a lot of healing to do so, to really get here. And a lot of like things that I just misunderstood about myself that I had to let go of and shed, and really come to terms with and communicate with myself that I am one being, but in being one being, I have to realize that I am not, or I haven't been, of one mind. I've been of like, I want to say like two separate minds, a division in my mind, which is like, this is simple, like, the conscious and subconscious, but doing like unconscious things. So in doing unconscious things, it's almost like there's three minds, but it's actually two, because the unconscious is like the breeding ground for the subconscious and the conscious. Like, you get to decide what you actively do and what you do inactively, which you actually need to be doing more active things rather than doing inactive things, because in doing inactive things, you don't have any, I don't necessarily want to say control of, but you don't have any connection with, because that's what it's about. You don't want to connect with, you don't want to have a disconnect with something that's going on inside of you, because that creates a disconnect with things that are going on around you, and you're not connected to your environment. You're not connected with yourself, and that's what it is. You have to be connected within yourself to be connected to things outside of yourself, because it's inside of you, and it's a reflection, and that's how the world actually works, and that's how the world actually is. But that takes a lot of understanding, and you really have to get to that point to where you actually understand that that's what the world is, and that's what the world is supposed to be. But eventually we all get there. It's no rush at all. Just like one of the things that we're often told is that you only live once, but you don't only live once. You live multiple times, just from different degrees and different angles. That's where your understanding is. Like, you have to you see the world from different degrees and different angles as you progress throughout your life. But we don't only live once, we live multiple times. But yeah, this video is probably all over the place, but I kind of felt that it would be before I recorded. But yeah, with that being said, I want to say that I love you, and I hope that you have a great day.